everybody.
Hello.
We're talking about the flavors of delicious fruits. You know,
Yes.
people always say fruit, but when you start getting fruit, my son was down from Indiana, you know, and we're all from Indiana, and the peaches from Georgia up.
Hoosier.
But the peaches in Hoosier land, oh, my son was telling me how it was just popping all over his face. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
If man knew what a good, these weren't even organic, but back then they probably were, because they probably didn't spray much back when I was growing up. But the flavors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like a pineapple. You know, if you ever had a pineapple picked off a plant, if you can meet the coons.
Yeah.
Because the animals know the night they're ready. I had one, it was just, and the next day I'm looking at that, you're mine the next morning. The next morning I'm going to let it get all the energy and love it can through the night, right? Well, the local coon goes, I see telepathy, I see you're going to pick it tomorrow, I'll get it tonight.
Yeah.
And that's just what he did. It was like, oh, could have had my gun and caught him. It would have been a dead coon.
I've talked to a couple people over in Africa, and the ripeness of the fruits, the bananas and the things like that, they say comparatively, you taste them over here, and there's no comparison.
Yeah. I've never been to Thailand, but the comments on the fruit there, like I said, this one homeopath from Romania, I sent her over there, and she just said all my symptoms went away when I went on Thai fruit, and it's like, wow. You know, it's sad that we have to be where we are. Of course, I grew up with farms. My uncles, everybody around me were farmers, you know, my cousins and all that. And they were concerned about quality a little bit, you know. The tomatoes, they wanted to make sure it was all beefsteak. They were firm and good.
Yeah.
But you don't see that level of thinking anymore, right?
Yeah. My great-grandmother grew her own garden and ate primarily out of her own garden.
Well, that's why they dipped to 90 and 100.
Well, she was 102. And then she had a little fall, broke her hip, and it was downhill from there. But she was still 105 when she passed.
That's amazing. I love that stuff. You know, people where we're from go back in the woods and pick herbs to eat, greens, to have, you know, greens. And some of them are herbs. Well, they're all herbs, basically.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, every plant has its own unique individuality, just like each and every one of you. And that's the beauty of each and every one of you, is your individuality.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? I love to meet individuals. Anybody like to just sit in an airport and people watch? You know, you sit around and people watch, because it's cool, because you get to see the uniqueness of life. That's why differences is so important to have.
Do you ever sit there and make up stories about them? Like
oh yeah. Well, if you quiet your mind, you can read their auras and read their thoughts. You got to be careful with that. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, we wanted to do this video together because you guys are learning something that no one else knows, and that is the great lymphatic system.
Yes.
When you understand that, and you look at that, and you see how it fits, and then answers, if you're into anatomy, physiology, you're medical doctors, or you're naturopaths, or homeopaths, especially if you're a massage therapist. You understand this system a lot better if you look at how we teach you. And we have A&P professors on our side. It answers all their questions. When Pat first called me, it put the jigsaw puzzle together. And then you can start understanding how the body gets rid of things. Because when we used to focus on the colon in natural health. I mean, 50 years before me, they were focusing on the colon, right? BE irons have been in business for I don't know how long, with psyllium and things like that to clean the bowel, stuff like that. But no one thought of the eliminative organs of the kidneys and skin and the vital role they play. And when you understand that you have a major fluid-based system, that is the sewer system / immune system / protective system / cushioning system of the body, it becomes overwhelming. You know, we study blood so much that we are so much into blood chemistry. The problem is we've never studied lymphatic chemistry.
Exactly.
And in digestion, which organs are involved in the digestive issues for the lymph system, because goodies have to go into the lymph system as it has to go into the blood system. You have a nutritive fluid system, a more protective fluid system, but you still have to get nutrition. Inner gallbladder. The gallbladder hydrolyzes lipids. It is not for the blood, it is for the lymph system.
Exactly.
So you have to understand why, these different tissues exist.
Well, think about it this way. Everything needs cleaned. Even the colon, even the liver, even the spleen that cleans.
Everything, bones.
But what cleans the tissues of those organs?
Exactly.
What cleans the tissues of the colon? What cleans the tissues of the liver? What cleans the tissues of the spleen?
It's the new largest organ the medical doctor just found.
But even take that to the kidneys. Everybody, I'm taking my classes right now, and I was studying this weekend and got completely sidetracked for 3 hours on Chinese medicine.
Oh, yeah.
And different things, the different herbs and stuff like that. But I found a phrase, and it said, bone health starts with the kidneys.
Look at
And
that.
I thought that was very insightful.
Man, very insightful. Matter of fact, as you start learning more of the truth, we start seeing insightful things like that. Pieces and pieces have been laid out there.
Yep.
We just put it all together, and that's a cool thing because you got to understand the lymphatic system,
Yeah.
and it is vital for massage therapists to understand this system, especially if you're even thinking of lymph drainage work. You want to rethink your education and realize that education doesn't always teach truth. It teaches other people's ideas. Truth lies within what? How do you find the real truth of life? Jesus told you right off. Through yourself. You're the living truth. If you're the living truth, then how do you have all the answers? Within yourself, right? It's within your awareness. That's hard to understand because we're used to navigating through thoughts and the mind. But the mind deals with separation, pieces, and putting them together like math and things like this, analyzing the differences, and it works in separation.
Well,
Consciousness is not separate.
Plus, the mind can only put the pieces in place that it has.
Exactly.
If it doesn't have that piece yet, then
Just don't put it in place. And that's exactly why you don't use the mind to try to figure out truth. And man is perplexed with that and locked with that because he's been on an academic run. And now, and have you seen what's happened to our society from this academic run? We have a huge amount of narcissistic elitist thinkers. The medical community is full of them. And they want to crush anybody that doesn't go with their level of thinking, that socialist thinking. And it's horrible, but it has yielded a top killing machine. And the problem is they don't have a lot of the pieces. And if you don't have the piece called the lymphatic system, at least as much as we've got out there, you just don't know how things are. You can't figure out why there's pain. You can't figure out why there's tumors. You can't figure out why there's even pimples or boils. You can't figure out anything. These are all diseases that mysteriously... That's intellectualism.
and they don't even have a clue as to how to get rid of it. All they know how to do is manage it.
Yeah, let alone that, and then let alone how do you deal with a system that is 80% of the interstitial fluids?
Exactly.
How do you deal with a system that large? Chemistry. Chemistry deals with everything at this level. You have to realize it. And guess what? So simple. The divine, so simple. There's only two sides to it.
Yeah.
Two sides to this massive creation.
Well, so many people are scared of herbs. They're scared of, can I take too many? Can I, what if I mix this one with that one and that kind of thing?
Yep.
It's just like you and I sitting here. You're gifted in your, in what you're gifted in, and I'm gifted in what, but we're each bringing something to the table. That's how every herb is. You taste it, you smell it, you see what it can do for the body. Where one herb is gifted in this area for the kidneys or for this or for that, and no herb is just good for one thing.
See, that's only the divine could create that.
Yep.
Take a pharmaceutical that could be good for several things with no side effects and it doesn't kill you. Impossible. So the herbs, I I fell in love with them so many years ago that I just, nectar of the gods. You know, another area that we talk about, understanding the limb system and how it suppresses cells is key, because cells are structure function. So imagine, I use this analogy a lot, but imagine building a house all out of wood, right? So building a house or car all out of one thing, cells. Man couldn't do it. Wood doesn't transfer electricity like metal. And you just got so many water pipes. You got so many things to think about, but it all has to be made from one thing. The body is made exclusively of cells. But how do we take care? And cells are structure, function. How do we take care of structure, function? We got to feed them.
Yep.
But we got to clean them. I wouldn't go to a builder and say, listen, I want that new house of yours.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. But I don't need the bathrooms. You don't have to put that in there. I just want the kitchens. That's medical thinking. If you don't have the bathroom, then how do you eliminate the byproducts of the kitchen?
Well, I mean, anybody who has a child knows that they have to feed that child and they have to clean that child. You don't bring the child home from the hospital and lay it in a bassinet and every couple of days say, it keeps crying every so often and there's a weird smell coming from it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You have to clean and you have to feed.
Yeah.
That's the two things that you have to worry about in order to get to your health.
And this is a good analogy you can use, and I use it a lot, and Marcy uses it a lot, and it is the baby syndrome. If you forget to change your baby's diaper in a timely manner, and you take it off, as a rule, you'll see a rash, and that's if the baby's filtering, or halfway.
Yeah.
So if that urine is acidic, it's going to blow back, and urine should be acidic, so it's going to blow back on the cells. Take that same analogy and put it inside of you. Mm-hmm. How does the body protect itself from those same acids, which you're now seeing on the outside in urine? They're coming from the inside. Now, they've already been through bacterial action. Mm-hmm. All right? So they're already up around 5 or 6, and they're still burning the baby, right?
Yep.
At the cellular level, at the lymphatic level, they're 3. That's 100 times hotter, 10. Mm-hmm. So you're talking significant, actually more than that. 3 pH up to 6. So you've got 10 times 10, 100 and times 10. So you're 1,000 times high. It's hard to, when you look at logarithms, it's hard to conceive that 10 times 10, pretty soon you get, when you're talking about pHs from 6 to 5, and then 5 to 4, and then 4 to 3, and then you look from 3 back up to 6. You've jumped considerably in heat.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but a lot of people call in and they're like, my saliva pH is at a 7 and my urine pH is at a 6, so I'm good. But they're not understanding that that's just the pH in a tube. It's from the mouth to the rear to the exit. That's all you're gauging is what that fluid is in that tube. You're not gauging what's the tissue pH of the kidneys. What's the tissue pH of the pancreas or the thyroid?
Yeah, because wherever you see stagnation,
or the interstitial.
But I think that pH of those tissues is going to blow back from the fluid, because if you're going to get pH, you have to have a fluid. So you're going to have interstitium fluids, and you're going to rate that.
Yeah.
So imagine what the body has to do. So let's say that, of course, your kidneys are failing. They don't filter. That, of course, then backs everything up, and then the lymph nodes start swelling and backs up. So then your cells can't eliminate anyway. So 3 pH. How does the body protect the cell from 3 pH? Because you see what happened to the baby's skin. What's your skin made of? Cells. Yep. So you saw what happened to the baby's skin, the baby's bottom, with the acids breaking down the cells. So how does the body protect the cells from their own acid waste blowing back on them? And it's called cholesterol. HDL, phospholipid cell wall. And then the fluid is the LDL. So you can see God has, if you really look at that lymph system, very protective against acids. Electrolytes are more ionized and burn so fast that, it's a hydration, it's essential, but your lipids. This is why the ketogenic diet has some validity in terms of symptomology, but at the stake of creating more acid or ketosis in the body. And it's like, no.
Yep.
But the reason we're bringing this up to you is, and there's another thing in connection to this we want to talk about, and that's the parathyroid gland. You guys are the premier groups of understanding.
Yeah.
The parathyroid, and remember if there's a pituitary connection, skeletal, right? Connective tissue. So I had one oncologist once told a client of mine that he couldn't do chemo on her because she had now this is a smart doc. You don't see it very often, but he was smart. And he was fairly honest, because I had to give him that. Because this lady was bruising easy. And that's the first thing that you know that you're not utilizing calcium, and that you're losing your calcium in your basement layer there, or your connective tissue, to acid-forming foods. In other words, you dump acid in the blood, you can't do that. You can't stress that pH, so you're going to grab calcium. And you start to see the results of that. Petechia, bruising easy, varicose veins, that sort of thing. So the problem is you take someone with a parathyroid weakness, and this is to you massage therapists, and this is a big deal, because you're lucky some of you haven't been sued majorly from it, because we lost a woman. She died from aggressive massage. It broke her capillaries, and she had an aneurysm from that. And so you have to be careful about this whole concept of roughing and deep tissue. I think has to be reconsidered, and reconsidered in the light of people's parathyroid weaknesses. Mm-hmm. Because you start needing someone with these weaknesses, not only will you bruise them, but this is what happened to you, and this is the first time I've actually seen it at this level. Mm-hmm. And you hit it, I think, spot on.
You want me to tell it?
Yeah, it's your story. Holy crap.
The queen of healing crisis is here. I had went and got a 2-hour massage. The gentleman that was giving the massage said that his expertise was in deep tissue. And I specifically told him that I cannot do deep tissue. I've got a parathyroid weakness. Of course, you get the blank deer in the headlight look when you say that. But I told him, I said, I need you to go light. I am just looking for a relaxing massage. And he did a pretty good job until he got to I was on my stomach, and he was working on my left leg. And he's like, you're pretty backed up on this left leg. Well, I had already told him that I was having a little bit of sciatic issues on that side. So he said, let me just do what I do. And I didn't think much of it until he took his thumb and he dug as hard and as deep as he could and went straight up that leg. And I come up off that table and I was like, no, you cannot go this deep. Not only because of a parathyroid issue, but think about it. A lot of your lymphatic system is right underneath, the little capillaries anyway, are right underneath the skin. What kind of damage can you do? And within 2 days, that leg from the calf all the way up to almost the top of the thigh was a solid mass of backed up lymph. It was hard as a rock.
Like a big bubble.
Yep.
Like a big freaking bubble. And you could tell it was lymph. It was hard. I mean, you could tell it was lymph. So it broke your lymph capillaries or your lymph vessels or a major lymph.
And I got sick. It was bright red all the way up the leg. I got sick for 4 days with fever, and I couldn't get out of bed and walk. And finally, through doing some massage, brought some light massage of my own just to try and, if you understand the lymphatic vessels, they've got little flaps that close so that it can't go back. Well, it can, if you lightly press that and go forward, that can create a vacuum so that it not only pushes what's at the forefront, but can create a vacuum to pull even more. So I was doing some little manual lymphatic drainage massages, and that got it to the point where it got some of the redness to leave. Now this has been, tomorrow will be 5 weeks. And I've finally gotten the one part that was about this big and just one solid, I mean, it felt like, you felt it. It felt like cement.
Oh, yeah.
It was hard as a rock.
And the one I felt, it wasn't red anymore, so your capillaries weren't at stake. It was your lymph.
Yeah.
Badly. It was so obvious.
But it's taken me a long time working 5 weeks tomorrow, working the kidney formulas, the lymph node and the lymphatic formulas, doing light massage, getting some acupuncture and things like that it's done.
Had he been an aware individual, he would have said, oh, this left kidney of yours, it's not filtering properly. This leg, you can feel the lymph stagnation. So let me try, Anita, but let me work on the neural lymphatic points to the kidneys.
Exactly.
Because if I get the kidneys worked up and get them filtering, it'll take care of this problem here. The problem is focus is always on the symptom instead of the cause. And I think once people start learning about causative factors and stuff, maybe that'll shift. Because the quality of practitionership should increase here, because we have some lousy practitioners in our world right now. Nature passes recommending high protein diets. You might as well turn in your degree and go service gasoline or something, because you just hurt people. And without proper understanding of chemistry, you know, when you're hitchhiking on the medical community, you're hitchhiking on the #1 killing machine of humans on the planet. You're hitchhiking on a modality that doesn't understand the human body like you think it does. It's a one that only treats symptoms and lost in theories that don't even exist. Matter of fact, our universities now, I said this before, can't even duplicate their theories that they tout as the reason. You know, they can't even. You get science news, and we read those like, what? And they're saying, well, we think this is a medical theory that they just put out there. In other words, lied. And so this is what we're running into. You don't want to hitchhike on that. You want to hitchhike on the divine, the one that created everything and how it works. Learn how it works. And if you tap into that, spiritually, everything else, all your answers are there. All your answers are there, and they'll come to you when you're listening. When you're too busy thinking, it's like studying books. How are you going to hear the truth if you're too busy talking and thinking? You know, this famous, I'll say famous, is at a certain level, very, very high spiritual being, I'll put it that way, said to me one time, he says, you know, if you stop thinking and stop talking, he said, there's nothing you won't know. And I go, bang, I did it. I'm watching and I'm listening. So I trained myself to do a lot of that. But this is so important. I can't tell you enough. Her leg was a mess, and he had to me, he broke a major tube, because you had too much of it to be little capillaries. This had to be a major tube, or whatever you want to call them. You know, vascular. It had to be a major one.
It was a major.
You had too much.
Especially in the thigh area.
And I'm thinking it was coming up here.
Yeah. That whole branch there was about that, the hardness was about that long and about that big around. So it literally flooded that whole branch of the lymph.
Isn't that wild? So, I mean, it's good education, so bad you're the guinea pig, like you said, but it's something that I talked about a long time ago, because we had a lady that died right after a massage. That she was, again, she was an Asian lady, but she was aggressive. And of course, this lady had major parathyroid. She was bruising easy, and that was a vascular bleed. So she died from that one. We found her dead in the bathroom. She didn't come to work for 3 days, and sent somebody over, and she was dead in the bathroom, aneurysm. You just got to be careful. People sometimes think aggressiveness and everything is the best, and it isn't.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people are like, do I need to hit this detox hard? And I'm like, it depends on what. Let's look at your eyes. Let's look at your history. Let's look at some of the things that's going on, and how sensitive are you. If one day of fruits throws you into a high healing crisis, you may need to have a little bit of a transition period. There are a lot of times when I put people just on the kidney formulas, especially those coming to me on dialysis and stuff. I put them on just kidney formulas at first for a month or so before I even put them on lymphatics, and let the fruit that they're going on be their pullers, and the heal all tea and things like that.
Not a bad idea either, because I've done the same thing, and so has Attila. It's just that people are so stagnant. And you're trying to affect a cure when you have stagnation and lack of filtration. You can't shake those kidneys awake. You know, everything has to be dealt with chemistry. Everybody's used to eating high acid ash foods, and this is the blowback. Now you got to bring in the alkaline ash foods to hydrate, repair, create fluidity and and get things moving. It just takes a amount of time to do that. You're actually, everything you're doing in science. You're doing in chemistry and physics. This isn't, raw foods isn't voodoo and fruit diets and stuff. This is why we show you your species, your vertebrae.
Yeah.
We show you your chemistry of your bodies, your milks. We show you everything to show humans just what type of species the human form is and what it needs to be well.
Well, not only that, but herbs are just food.
I know. I love that. Well, some countries like to classify them as medicinals, but they're really food.
Well, just like I would recommend to somebody to eat a lot of apples if they were having gall stuff issues. I'm going to recommend dandelions to do something and licorice to do something or other things.
Absolutely.
It's food. They are loaded with nutrition. They are loaded with vitamins, with minerals, with essential amino acids.
Non-cooked.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, people don't realize I'm losing weight and I'm starving. I'm not getting nutrition. Are you kidding me? The fruit is the top number. Berries are the number one nutritional food on the planet. This comes from a 3-doctorate professor that runs a university in Canada. Berries is probably your number one chemical food, but bananas are close as the number one food. Your fruits, picked ripe, extremely, but they also have different chemistry for different vertebrae. Mm-hmm. You have to understand that if you're putting humans in the same same vertebrae section as your horse, you're gravely mistaken. We're our own vertebrae. We fit in the primate vertebrae, so you have to look to that and the design of the teeth and how the jaw works and doesn't grind, all the things that we teach about proving that we're frugivores and the fact that we were an islander species originally. Yeah. Just because we migrated to the paleo caves, so to speak, doesn't mean that's what we are.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you think about it. I have a lot of people, and I was just thinking about this the other day. A lot of them are like, when I switch to fruit, I get cold. I don't feel like I'm not warm enough, especially in your colder climates and stuff.
Kidding.
Well, think about it. We're a tropical species.
Yeah. That's how we keep cool.
The fruits and stuff cool the body down a lot.
They do, and they're alkaline. Alkaline is cooling, just like you said. So, more evidence that we're more of a tropical species. Yeah. We don't do well. But you can. You get your thyroid working good. That'll help keep you warm. You have some warm teas and things. There's a way to survive raw food up north, but it's harder, no question. Yeah. The Canadians, those poor guys. But they do.
Yep.
They're hardy Canadians. They're up there kicking butt.
Absolutely.
I know it.
Absolutely.
I know it. But we wanted to bring this out to you, massage therapists particularly. You do not have to. You want to move lymph, hydrate. You can then knead and help pathways and be gentle. But when you're talking about major agglomulation, you're not going to break it up and give them a cure, and you know it. You're only going to give them temporary relief of symptomology of stiffness, tightness, and pain. If you do that and compromise their health deeper, that isn't a good idea. So it's just something that
I dry fasted for 2 days, and that actually helped.
See,
this right here, of course, filtration went up on those 2 days of dry fasting and everything else.
I had the dates in. We were talking about the dates, and somebody was thinking because they were saying that dates is fairly high in oxalates and stuff, and I don't think so. Not so much. But you couldn't have that much oxalates to filter that much in a couple of dates. You talk about minor chemistry if it has very much oxalates at all. More greens are more involved with that. But you have to understand, people think, well, because it has it, then I'm going to get stones. What you have to understand is the two sides of chemistry and the nature of each side. In the presence of acidosis, things agglomulate.
Yep.
Things stick and things become hard, and but when you alkalize, that's why we alkalize in detoxification, because that's hydration.
So think of this. I've had a number of clients that when I was in my teens, mucus and sinus congestion and sneezing and coughing and all this stuff, I don't have that anymore.
I know.
They think it's a good thing.
Exactly.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
That means that mucus, that all that stuff is hardening, and it's you're going to have a ways to go to break that up, pull that out.
Exactly. See, and that's the problem is that people get upset, and I get it. The real problem comes when that happens and the pressures in the head. Remember the guy who I literally popped out?
Yep.
My God, my heart dropped for that poor soul. This is what happens to acids. It breaks down. It steals calcium out of connective tissue. You can see it. Medical doctors who can't understand this, like, well, you guys need to get some awareness, not education. Jesus, some awareness, because you can see it firsthand what happens in an acid ash diet.
Absolutely.
And the robbing of the connective tissue is not a smart, good thing. But it's where it has to get it, either bone or connective tissue. And in the blood, you only have the basement layer of connective tissue. You don't have bone. So you dump acids in the blood from acid ash foods, now you got a blowback. And it's just what you see. And it's funny, by changing that, then it rebuilds and the veins pull back in, everything gets tight. I love it. The fact that the body can rebuild itself as it's torn down, but you've got to know which side of chemistry. And there's only two. How complicated. These beautiful people get it.
Why do we think that there is 60 to 90% water in almost every fruit and vegetable, except maybe some of your root vegetables, but still. 60 to 90%. I don't care, at the beginning of creation, whether you're an evolutionist or a creationist, we weren't born with a cup so that we could scoop some water and drink it. We plucked the fruit, just like for nutrition. We plucked the fruit from the trees. We picked the berries from the bushes. There's your hydration, high energy hydration.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at tubers and things like that under the ground, I mean, we can go looking for them if you're hungry, but the hogs and the omnivores generally go for those things. So they're not, and they're more starchy. So it fattens them up, and then people get to kill them, eat them, and barbie them. No, I mean that came out of the consciousness of God somewhere. You can't imagine something that didn't come out of God. I mean, it's all one, so it's an interesting thing. Which one suits your fancy?
Oh, just grab one.
Yep.
Hello, Dr. Morse. My name is Anthony. Thank you for what you do, teaching the public how to be healthy. I am writing to see if there is anything I can do to help with fibrous dysplasia of bone in the skull. I have the bone benign tumor in the left, I don't even know that one, side of sinus. May you have a blessing week. Thank you for your help. Yes, I am a member of your health club.
It doesn't matter if you are or not. We're still going to answer you.
Yeah.
Well, you see what happens with acid or lymph stagnation. It's all location. And if you ever seen bone cancer, you're seeing why you have the dysplasia thing there. You can see this in advanced. You saw this in Lou Gehrig's in those cases that we were working on out there with what's her name, and everything can get mutated. Everything, including bone and everything else. It doesn't mutate under the alkaline sky because that's a calcium-enriched sky. It mutates under what sky? The corrosive sky of acids. So where do you turn to when you're looking up in the head area and the bone? Where do you turn to? You turn to the very system that deals with cells and cell waste. You have to understand that acids are a major part of chemistry. I don't know if we could say 50-50, yin and yang. On this planet it's not, thank God. But in planets where it's 50-50, I don't know if human life can be supported at 50-50. We're an alkaline dominant planet, thank you very much.
Right.
Very few species can handle acid dominant. And I go back to the cat family again, and how radical the milk is different, how they sleep. They don't have the carbon, so they sleep all the time because the protein is not an energetic source. So yeah. So, I'll say this, you have to go after the causative factors to any of these type of mutations and bone conditions, bone tumors, and it's that same thing that the system the tumors are in.
Well, just like I made the comment here when we first started about Chinese medicine and their belief that bone health starts with the kidneys. You get that taken care of, you get the kidneys filtering and functioning better, you're going to start affecting the bones and you're going to start affecting this tumor. There's only one reason that a body creates a tumor, forms a tumor, is to protect itself.
Now, we can tell you it's not difficult getting the tumor out. The question is, can your skull realign itself and readjust itself? And the answer to that one is quite so. I mean,
Tell them that story you told us Friday about the gentleman who had this whole area removed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he had this tumor under here, and they cut most of his left jaw out. I mean, it was just a little bitty channel. Within a few months, the whole jaw was rebuilt back nice as you please. Just totally rebuilt that jaw.
Yeah.
But that's what the body does, it rebuilds. But you simply have to understand the two sides of chemistry. I mean, naturopathic school, the right naturopathic school, when we get our naturopathic school, people are going to love coming to it because it's going to be a feel-good school. It's going to feel good to learn truth. It's going to feel good to learn wisdom and how the body works and how you can take your body anywhere you want it. The bottom line is you only are using this body as a vehicle. And once you learn how this vehicle's made, the chemistry it needs to run properly, you can do anything with it. So that's exciting stuff.
Well, you know, the kidneys and the lymph, if you think about it and you learn it, it is the difference between buying a lemon car and buying one that's going to last. Now, I don't know of anybody who ever bought a car and said, this has got to last me for the next 70 years.
Yeah, really. I see them down here once in a while. I bet they had that car all their lives. There wouldn't be anybody like you or me.
But think about it. You want this vessel to work as good and optimally as it can until it's time for the next one.
Yep, you do. And because you're happier, you know, those of you that are in pain, I can tell you, I'm no stranger to pain in my world, and I feel for you. But pain is an acid experience. And if you want to continue with pain, then continue with the same lifestyle and the same diet. You have to realize your interaction with this planet is your chemistry and your physics, your energies. So look at how you're interacting with the planet. Look at your food sources. Look at your sleeps. Look at what your chemistry interactions is with your makeups and your shampoos and all of that. Look at the house for neurotoxicity or the electrical grids that the car space set up in the house. I mean, but you also have to learn how to pull away from all those influences and realize who you are consciousness-wise and realize, like Marcy said, one day you'll be stepping out of that body. Who's stepping out of the body? You. Well, who's you then? If you're not the physical body, you know, who are you? And that's the sort of journey that's fun too. So getting the physical body, and with this lad here, you really got upper circuit and brain and nerve would be the two. I'd be on top of a full-fledged program of getting the kidneys to filter and going on with it.
Even upper circuit, even with the tumor?
I would. Upper circulation, better not.
Yeah,
better not. Better leave the upper
I would do
circulation
brain and nerve. I would go after the kidneys. Dig deep, and do some parathyroid. Do some bone and connective tissue.
For sure that. I would also work on the neurolymphatics. Work on the bowels aggressively to try to get the sinuses to dump. Because if you can get the sinuses up, candle your ears 3 or 4 candles per. See if you can release pressure, anything that's built up. And like I said, work on those kidneys aggressively, dry fasting to help get the kidneys to filter. Eat some dates if you want.
Remember that transverse colon and how it affects the brain areas. So really go after that GI tract.
GI broom, start moving, hydrating and moving.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then all that will rebuild and all the fibrous stuff. But you can see how bone is just mutilated in bone cancers and stuff. But the same thing is true in uterine cancers and stuff, and endometriosis. Anytime you get acids, I always like to equate it. Anybody ever see welders and how they weld things? That's why and I say this a lot of times under hysterectomy, surgeons have to cut the uterus off the bowel walls. It welded itself.
Yep.
And that's what these acids do.
Absolutely.
Hi, Dr. Morse. For one to say that I am so happy I found you. Yeah. But you know, we love that because it's sick. We love to help people. And when you're suffering, that doesn't make us happy. You know, But if I know someone's suffering, I'm going to go help.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the beast, right? And I enjoy watching all of your YouTube videos. Thank you. That was nice. That was sweet. My question is for my dad. He's 61 years old or young.
Yeah.
And he wants to detox, but he's not sure about what he can safely do. He has uncontrolled type 2 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, RA, and osteoarthritis. All right? He had his gallbladder removed right before he was diagnosed with diabetes. All right, so let's stop right there for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
To have blood sugar problems, whatever the medical doctors label it, let's for a minute keep diseases out of this, because, that's a fabrication. You're having blood sugar problems, all right? Type 2 is the adrenal glands and cortisol problems. So you're having steroid problems in the adrenal glands, so you're having metabolism of sugar problems. So the adrenal glands sit on top of the kidneys. So now you're into the kidneys and the matrix of the lymphatic system and what makes organs and glands shut down in the first place. What could make an adrenal gland? I'm an adrenal gland. Me and Marcy's cells in the adrenal gland. You're doing cortisol. I'll do progesterone. All right, we're good. All right, we're happy doing our thing. What can affect our ability to perform for you? What can affect my performance? I'm just getting along pretty good. Here comes blood. Here's my kitchen. Here's my goodies. Oh, wait a minute. There's a lot of acid in that blood. No. But, you can get some goodies out of that blood, okay? So how can you affect me? I'm performing pretty good. Blood's getting to me. I'm doing good. How can you make me hyperactive or hypo? How can you make me tired and not want to perform? Chemistry for sure, but when I'm using the bathroom and I no longer, anybody had constipation for any length of time, how do you feel? Headachy, you can't think, you get swollen, distended, you feel locked. What do you think around cells? Years of constipation around cells. There's only so long that HDL and all that can work for you.
Exactly.
Only so long.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have intracellular acidosis. No longer the interstitial spaces are full. There's been an accident on the highway, the cars are lined up for miles, you ain't going nowhere. So the cells keep performing, right? They're still alive inside, so they continue to produce their waste. That's the waste that mutate them.
Yeah.
Their own waste.
If you keep setting the trash outside, but you forgot that the trash guy's not going for several weeks, you're going to start smelling things, you're going to start seeing things are going to start moving and creeping that weren't moving and
builds up
creeping
at your
before.
front door and you can no longer get out of your house.
Exactly.
Where's your trash going to go in your house?
Yeah. The thing is, most people don't think about the fact that these things happen inside the body. We have them and we observe them. You see landfills that are getting way too full. You see all this trash getting backed up. Look about the plastic in the oceans and stuff that people get rid of. All this trash that we're having and struggling getting rid of, we see it in our world today, those who are observant anyway. But what about inside the body?
Well, okay, let's do a double take. Inside the body, now inside the cell. We have two things to think about. Interstitially, inside the body, and also intracellularly, inside the cell. And when you can no longer discharge your waste as a cell, you're dying on your own waste. You're mutating on your own waste.
We're talking about elimination too. But if that trash is not getting moved, how are you getting the good nutrition that you need to get?
That either.
How many people are walking into this clinic or calling into this clinic today that are malabsorbed?
Oh yeah, all over the place.
It's unreal. And it's not just your skinny people. You have to understand malabsorption is in anyone.
And she brought up an excellent point. You could be a 400-pounder and be greatly malabsorbed. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Absolutely.
So it's just learning all these things, but thinking about how the body eliminates its waste and byproducts. But we say how the body does. But when we're talking about the body, what are we talking about? Structure, function, cells. Got to remember, what is the human body? Cells. So you have to think cellularly. right? And how does the cell get rid of its chemistry?
Yeah.
And that's where the lymph system comes in. And once this starts, another 100 years, the medical doctors will probably get it. By the time all these guys will be the top practitioners of the world. So automatically, to have blood sugar problems, you're going to have lymphatic problems. And so you start to understand, and that's why I was tying that lymphatic interstitial into the function of the adrenals. We're functioning of the adrenals. I don't have blood sugar problems today, but tomorrow I do. What's the difference? How did I create that?
But look at this. He had his gallbladder removed right before he was diagnosed with diabetes. So the anesthetic component,
could it be?
The anesthesia,
it could have been. There's another thing. We should never forget that. You remember that one case we talked about with the type 1, and she quit menstruating after her forced surgery. So absolutely, there could have been some suppression of the adrenals neurologically. So we're in the like-minded to always go after the nervous system.
Yeah.
It controls literally everything. So you want to pick up the cells, you got to pick up the thing that controls the cells, the electricity. Yeah. So that's the nervous system. Well, the nervous system gets its neurotransmitters from where? The adrenal glands. So here we go, around the posy, Yeah. But again, you're right on the kidney, adrenal, lymphatics. We're right there, and you're going to see everything. If he has blood sugar problems, my guess he has mineral utilization problems too. You have low iron, zinc, selenium, all of these things like that. But he has RA. Mm-hmm. So RA, rheumatoid. I've only seen a few RA cases that did not have sulfur involvement.
Yeah.
Most of your arthritics, it doesn't matter whether it's osteo, rheumatoid, it doesn't matter what the factors are or what they call this. It is still the same. And what is it? What side of chemistry causes you pain? Acid. So which system deals with acids? The lymph. So we're back to that. Here's the kidney adrenal matrix tied to that. Here's the RA, which is systemic lymphatic stagnation. Mm-hmm. This is chronic lymphatic stagnation now. This isn't a light, cold, and flu. This is chronic levels, and osteo is chronic. Well, it just simply means that you see calcium being removed out of structure to fight this. So I'm sure he's loaded with calcifications
well, not only,
too.
Exactly. I was going to say, those calciums are being pulled from that. That hits that acid. Robert just spoke a little while ago about not cauterizing, but when you're blowtorching.
Torching. Welding.
Welding. You take that calcium, you weld that together. Look at how things get distended and out of proportion, and the hands and the tightness and the.
You see it badly.
Yeah.
And the bones can get distorted like crazy. But you've also seen it go back to normal from that. It's like, when you see that, you no longer need books, you no longer need anything. You understand the way of the world of chemistry.
The year before I started this, I had arthritis so bad that my fingers would lock down.
Snap and lock.
And I'd have
a lot of people have that locking.
Unlock them. I'd have to pull them open so that I could grab a pen so that I could write.
Crap.
And this was before I understood the adrenals and all of that. I got 2 cortisone shots. First one lasted for 3 months. The second one lasted for 3 days. And then I thought to myself, then I started reading about what it does to the body. And I'm like, that's done. Yep. And then within 6 months, I had met you. And I had started on the formulas and started changing. I wasn't all fruit. Wasn't even all raw. But I had started changing my diet. I had gotten rid of the dairy and was limiting all the other stuff.
That's a big one.
I don't have any of that today. It's all gone. Yep. It's all gone.
Yep. You've been digging in pretty good, though, for the last several years. You've been digging in really good. And kept using yourself as a guinea pig in a lot of ways. But I always wonder, is that what you do this time?
Yeah, what did you do this time? You know what, though? The one thing I've always asked God was to open my eyes and show me.
Yeah. And He is.
On every single major healing crisis that I've had, within a day or a couple of days of getting back, people start calling with the same
thing.
issue.
See, that's why I quit practicing. I don't want any more of that, because it's true. I hate to tell you, you guys are going to see the same thing. You start going through something, you go, what the hell? And the next thing you know, you get clients coming in with the same problems. You go, oh. It's like, do I go through this always? I know, it's funny you bring that up, but I've had that same thought through the years, you know. And why would you lose your gallbladder? Interstitial lymphatic stagnation or constipation. We should look at that. He also is a recovering addict. He sweats a lot when he eats, and he has a white film on his tongue. Well, that thick white film is a good example of what his bowels look like. So you can know for sure he's malabsorbed, and he's going to see heavy mucus coming out of his stools, which is what you want to see. So he's really backed up there in the gut. At least it's white, not brown or green.
Or black.
Or black. Yeah, there's some black tongues out there for sure. Sweating, he sweats a lot. Now, he sweats when he eats, though. That's interesting. He could have a reflex there in the stomach area. He's not overweight at all. He's been hospitalized a couple of times with ketoacidosis. Yeah, well, put him on the ketogenic diet. When he goes into ketosis, just put him on a watermelon fast. This mother called me one day, and she had a 15 or 16-year-old girl with type 1, and she went into ketosis there on the detox a little bit, because you're going to break down lipids, and your body's going to eliminate a lot of that. And she said, I heard you, I just put her on watermelon, pulled her right out. Normally they would have ran her to the ER,
Yeah. Should he start?
Should he start a raw fruit and herb diet, or will it affect his diabetes negatively? Well, in looking at your food sources, and let's say you're type 2, you're diabetic, right? And you're looking at your food sources, right? I don't want to eat the fruits or the vegetables, maybe the grains or the proteins. All of those have a bigger bump on your blood sugars than simple sugars. Your grains are complex. What are you going to eat? Okay, so you can go to your fruit. You can go to your vegetable sugar, and it's an inferior sugar. It's still simple sugar. In type 2, it doesn't matter what you eat, your blood sugar is going to go up, because you're having sugar metabolism problems. You're not metabolizing blood sugars, so it don't matter what sugars you eat. So you're going to see your bump in your fruits and your vegetables even.
For a time.
But it'll work it right out. Right out. You've seen that. I've seen that. But you wouldn't go to your grains. Those are your.
Well, your fruits are going to end up giving you. If you're having that sugar metabolism, your fruits may not give you that. You know how you hear some people go, I went on the fruits and I had so much energy. When you've got really low adrenals, the sugars, even on the fruits, can tend to tire you out and fatigue you. Give it time. That is going to change.
Give it time, because you've got to work on kidney filtration to fix the adrenals, because when you go into what's wrong with the adrenals, it's always going to go to your lymph system. Remember, you only have cells that are sitting there and two chemical systems that affect it directly. Your blood cannot negatively affect the cell, and you live for any length of time in the human body.
Right.
Right? That's a given, because the blood will actually kill you within 3 minutes of that. So it's probably a good thing. So what's this other chemistry, fluid, that your body deals with that dominates the interstitial fluids? That's what we're looking at, and that's vital to look at that and to understand what we're saying. Then all the answers to all the disease bullshit and all this stuff comes to light to you, and you start, I get now, and I see it. And then your answers to all your questions in the future is right in front of you, because you can relate, like you're relating everything now, because now you understand how it's tied together.
Yeah.
So you have these two chemical fluids that directly affect me as a cell. So when I'm an adrenal gland and I suddenly am having blood sugar problems, let's say apart from a possible surgery and propofol suppression of that, then what's bringing me down? What's blocking me from producing this? Well, blood doesn't block. You're not alive if it does. Yeah. So what else gets agglomerated? What can be a block? And there's only one other system to go to. Thank you very much.
Right.
Should you start fruit diet? You damn right now. I am a raw fruit, veggie, herb diet. Yes, and I feel wonderful, and that's what he should go on too. Make your dad do it, honey. Maria, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Your videos keep me motivated and on track. Go, sweetheart, go. There's a nice soul right there.
Hello, my name is Melissa. I was wondering if it's possible to correct a lazy eye. As an adult, I had a cyst on my pituitary gland, and I have been taking herbs to detox it. As the herbs are healing me, I notice my eye still droops, and I am wondering if herbs can fix that too, since I wasn't born with it. I look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely, Melissa.
What else she said? A lazy eye.
Yeah. She had a cyst on her pituitary.
Ah, look at there. Well, you know, that shows you got a lot going on in the head lymphatically. And of course that weakens tendons and muscles and things like this and pulls. I had a baby once from, she was 18 months old from Texas. At 4 months old, she had a Hep B back and some loaded back. And she went into liver failure. But one thing it did, for some reason, it took this, and it had to be neurotoxicity from maybe the thymus, but it made her left eye turn east.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking, what? And then threw her into seizures. I got her with the seizures, but also her eye was turned east. And I got her eye straight, I got her out of seizures, and she was 18 months. So the mother had lived from 4 months with that scenario. I'll tell you too much till she heard from us. But that's the sort of thing you can relate to that. What pulls muscles, what pulls tendon, what weakens. And when you go to weakening, you'll go to atrophy, breakdown, mutation, you're on the acid side of chemistry again. So it keeps relating to the same side of chemistry in the same system. It really does. But it's a good thing you see this, because you can start relating all your questions to that system and to acidosis, because there's nothing else out there. It's not like we're hiding another side of chemistry to you and then suddenly, well, here's this new side of chemistry. No, you're sitting on top of truth as it is. You just have to rearrange it to fit the puzzle.
Well, also think about this. If something gets very, very acidic and acid burns, we all know acid burns, but let's say that something happened while this whole pituitary, obviously to have a cyst on the pituitary gland means that there's problems anyway. So you have
system.
Exactly.
The lymph system.
Exactly. So let's say that you've got this hot acid around this eye, and what happens when we do get burned? Our body comes to heal that. Well, a lot of times to do that, it forms scar tissue. So your eye starts drooping and that scar tissue forms. What do you got to do to reverse that? You have to detox back to the point where you break down that scar tissue so that the muscles can actually start working again. And
the body will do that. You know, what's interesting is to see the scar tissue form. And it's kind of like in surgery. The most thing you worry about in surgery is adhesions and scar tissue, right? But when you realize the body's just doing its natural thing, when you're cutting into an already weakened tissue, the body's going, oh my God, I have to support this tissue. The body isn't thinking like the surgeon. The body's thinking of self-survival.
Right.
So the body's thinking, how can I do this? So it super scars it. And I worked in cardiac a lot, so all the open hearts, and I can always see those that are extremely acidic by the ribbon they get on the open heart, and others just you can barely see the scar. So interesting to see the difference. But again, the body will chew it up, but what state do you have to be in to do that? You know, we talk about these things and the beauty and the wonder of these things, but you're working to do it.
Yeah.
This isn't Melissa, just snap your finger and it's gone stuff.
Yeah. I would seriously go after detox, number one, obviously. The fruits, especially the berries and stuff like that. But this is where you dig in. This is where I would go after brain and nerve and upper circ, because once you do start breaking that scar tissue down, you're going to want that help up there, that's upper circulation.
The pituitary, might want to look at the parathyroid too. And it means you might see a little of that there because the pituitary might have bumped the parathyroid, so she's not utilizing calcium well and weakened from that point of view as well. So look at that side as well. But
Exactly.
you're going to be involved up here. If you have a cyst on the pituitary, your whole head is involved lymphatically.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So then there's the thyroid, the parathyroid, and all those. So as you start to clean and hydrate and clean and start to filter, it relieves cells. It's like how you start to feel more flexible and you say, oh, all this stiffness and tightness, all this acid is coming out of me. Now I'm feeling flexible. Think of that's what the cell feels. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because no one likes to be stiff, tight, and in pain. And that includes the cells, too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you, Melissa.
Yep. My 31-year-old son was diagnosed with dissecting cellulitis about 20 years ago. What in the heck is that? Dissecting cellulites? Cellulites? He's at a mentally desperate state and severe outbreak. He has gone through every treatment other than scalp. Oh, well, you could have your scalp. You could get scalped and grow all new. If Dr. Morse could read about this unknown, very rare disease and let me know if he believes anything is worth trying, I'd greatly appreciate it. And this is Pamela. Hey, sweetheart, you know what? Let's take for a minute the concept of disease out of this question. And let's work with the concept there is no such thing as the whole concept of diseases. That everything has an actual cause and effect to it. Everything you see, there's a cause to it, right? That's more factual. So let's look at life as if it's cause and effect. So everything you see in the body, whether it's tumor, skin, mutation of the skin, the scalp, doesn't matter. What you see is a direct result of cause and effect, right? Okay, so the first thing you have to do in cause and effect is go to what we've just been talking about, chemistry. Because when you look at the air, people think you're walking through a void. There is no voids. That was the concern with atom busting, is creating a void. So there is no void. So that means you walk through, swim through, breathe through. Chemistry is everywhere. So you have to look at cause and effect in the context of chemistry. How's your body chemistry? Looking through those two. So it's putting all that together. And that's what the medical doctors should have done, but they got trapped. Naturopaths now have had to do this and teach the world chemistry, because that's been our field for years. We've been the chemists predominantly. We've been the health people. We've been the ones teaching what type of foods to eat. It's just that medical power came through with the World Bank and Rockefellers, and pretty soon people bought into that, and look at what happened to man's health. Boom! Down.
Yep.
So, the first thing you have to understand is which system is your son having problems with. And there's only two that deal with chemistry, blood and lymph. And so we're dealing in the lymph, the cellulites. And the only way, you got to go to his kidneys, son, so that means he's probably younger. Yeah. He's 31, so that tells you right off his kidney and adrenals. I could put a stamp, everyone 31 years old, kidney and adrenals. Next.
Yep.
So that's a lymph system again. Rare is only in location. That's all rare means. Oh, I haven't seen it in this location, and look at what it did to that tissue.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that in children. Oh, look at that rare form. They're like this. There's no muscle power. Same cause. Same cause, different areas. And now, when it's in the brain so much, now in the head so much, you're going to see all kinds of mutations, all kinds of effects of muscles and tendons and stuff like that. And it's like the remedy. The beautiful side of this, lovely people, the remedy is always the same. Understand the two sides of chemistry and get away from what our civilization is teaching you. American dietetics.
This is just the skin acting as a third kidney. And I mean, seriously, go after the kidneys. I'd put Parasite M in his shampoo and wash my hair with it. I'd maybe even do a rinse with some Heal All tea. But go after the kidneys and the lymphatic. That's how you're going to massage these neurolymphatic points back here and get this draining from the head as much as you can, so that the kidneys can even deal with it.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, and your young man is going to have to think kidneys, adrenals, lymphatics, and this is just the nature at 31 years old. And I mean, here is the beauty that we are teaching you. iridology.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the eyes. Go to the eyes. You have a picture of the internal condition of your body. And now that we're teaching lymphatic iridology,
Yeah.
You know more than any other iridologist about the eyes and how to look and identify colors and the lymph system. This isn't out there. You guys are the premier group of people that are learning these truths. And you're working them on yourself and you're finding, oh look, it's gone and I'm feeling better because you're sitting on truth. You guys are the wayshores of the planet now.
Pamela, I would seriously try and talk him into doing, if not all fruit, at least all raw for 6 months, and I guarantee he's going to see some changes. You
better start seeing it within a couple of months, easy.
Yeah.
A few weeks even.
Yeah.
It depends how involved, but get a picture of his eyes and go over that. It's just, well, you can really answer your own questions by your own eye picks.
Yeah. Yep. Hi, Doc. Thank you for being amazing. I was a baby with a really weak immune system that kept me isolated at home for my first 3 years on Earth.
Wow.
Then, when I was 4, I got my tonsils removed because they got badly swollen when I got a cold. Through growing up, I had problems with eczema on both my arms, allergic reactions to nickel, and I had a lot of body fat until I got into puberty. I'm now 24 and have a few health challenges. Low pulse, low body temp, low fasting glucose, chronic yeast infection for almost 3 years. Did an allergy test and it came back with reactions to my thyroid. Cold and I live in Norway, haha. Pancreas, insulin, T3, zinc, all types of sugar. My energy is all types of sugar and amines.
Amines.
My energy is non-existent and I struggle with anxiety and occasional depression. Rarely dream at night, have varicose veins on my legs, bad PMS pains. I eat a low-fat, high-carb diet, raw diet, and I have been doing it on and off for the past 3.5 years. I have been vegan for 4. My kidneys are filtering a little. Do you have any recommendation on how I can heal all this? Herbs, etc. Thank you for your time. Best wishes, Mina. Hi, Mina.
And look at her age.
Yeah.
And we teach us so much of the young people suffering so much, and people don't realize all of these genetics and all of this suppression by antibiotics and all this stuff that people have been doing for this last 50 years are now impacting the youth like never before. These poor guys are getting the bump of our ignorance.
Well, not only that, but look at the standard American diet today isn't even a sad diet anymore.
Yeah.
It's even worse than that.
Yeah.
We are teaching our kids to survive on soda pop, energy drinks, pizza, Hot Pockets, all these processed things that are more chemical than they actually are food.
God.
You think the FDA is looking out for you, but there are so many things that somebody can put into this food of ours that they don't even have to list.
Oh my, I know. I mean, and there's so much rat stuff and all kinds of stuff allowed in foods. You know, people don't realize how much nasty stuff is allowed. So many particles.
Well, look at the number of cows and cattle and things like that that are developing tumors and cancer.
Well,
and then that meat, there's supposed to be this guiding factor that they can't be sold. But this meat somehow finds its way a lot of times into the supermarkets.
well, I mean, just look at this this concept now of giving herbivores high protein diet. Same concept they're giving frugivores, and it's breaking us all down. It's a bad concept, and they just can't let go of it. It's like this war right now with the Republicans and Democrats. It's like the Democrats can't let go of stuff, and it's like, God, we all got to just let go and be happy, and everybody's got to make things better, you know. I mean, everybody has to live on the planet together.
Yeah.
All right, sweetheart. Well, when you say weak immune system, and I've said this before, I dare any medical doctor to tell you what your immune system is. You know, what is your immune system? So your main immune system is your lymphatic system. I hate to tell you, your blood has immune cells, of course, but your lymph system is what cleans you and deals with elimination. Blood is not an eliminative anything. There's no eliminative organs to the blood system, but there is many eliminative channels to the lymphatic system. So it's just a whole nother understanding of that system. So let's go through here because you got some serious stuff going on here. And just what Marcy and I have been talking about, kidneys and adrenals are right at the core of this. You have zinc problems, pancreatic insulin problems, things like this. All types of sugars and amines, my energy is non-existent. So you have low blood pressures, low blood sugars, so that's very low. And of course your kidneys are probably very weak, so you probably have low diastolic even, in the 50s. So this is a real problem for young people. So you've got kidney adrenals. You're going to you need to make your life health oriented and understanding what it is to get to Wellville and then regenerate these genetics. So first of all, you're going to focus is going to be on your nervous system, your endocrine gland system. You're talking here, almost all your endocrine glands seem to be down. So that does suggest the pituitary is down. Well, that controls menses. So if you have irregular menses, it's going to be the pituitary gland. But you're talking about, look at there, so you're talking about parathyroid, hit it right there.
Yep. I mean, you just, all types of sugars.
Yes, you're not metabolizing your sugars. If you don't metabolize your sugars, you're going to get a lot of fungus because fungus deals with sugar fermentation, with fermentation. It's a natural, it's nature. So if you're not metabolizing, you're fermenting, and of course you're going to bring in.
I remember when I first started on this, I had a lot of fungus, candida issues. And when I first started on this and I started going a lot of fruits, I kept having these little brown patches break out all over my hands and my arms, and I just, of course I can't leave anything alone, so I'd be like scratching it and stuff, and all of a sudden it'd just like poof, and it'd be gone. And here it was all these little fungus patches coming out on that parasite M. My kidneys weren't filtering as good. I've always had weak kidneys, but fungus is definitely...
Yeah, it is among us. I would probably douche, though, one time a night for since you've had so much of this, because the concern then would be atypical cell formation in there because fungus leaves uric acid. And uric acid crystals are that little pinprick acid that can really hurt. And of course you're thinking about what cells of years of this, of acidosis interstitially, what can happen as we've been talking earlier. So again, you have major adrenal and kidneys here from our point of view.
Going back to the parathyroid.
Depression, parathyroid, PMS, all of these sort of things deal with the parathyroid, thyroid, and pituitary glands. And you really, it sounds like all your endos are down. So our program is so nice with that. We have an endocrine gland formula. You probably wouldn't want to do a glandular on this one, I have to tell you. I hate to say that, but when you're this low, I would do a 400 milligram. And if you're really low, you could even pop 2-3 times a day. You know what I'm saying? When you're this low, this would be a case for licorice root, to be honest with you, though. You would want to add licorice root to your regimen. If you didn't want to do the glandular, do the adrenal formula, then definitely use a lot of licorice root, anti-inflammatory as it is. Tonsils were just telling you back then that your lymph system was backed up. That's your main immune system anyway. Skin, just like you had said, skin, that's your lymph system. So I see nothing here but the low pulse rate. Again, we're talking about neurotransmitters here, thyroids here. Low body temp, thyroid, no question, low fasting glucose, chronic, exactly. All right.
I just want to bring up a topic here real quick. You said that you have been eating for the last 3.5 years fairly good, vegan for 4. This is where I want to bring in the fact that I hear this a lot. I've been vegan for 25 years. Why am I here? Why am I here? We are going back to the fact that it is not about your kitchen. It is about your bathroom that we are talking about, number 1. Number 2, give me some of that. Number 2, you can only do, diet is everything. But I can eat all the apples in the world and it's not going to correct cirrhosis of the liver. But if I add a little few of those herbs for the liver, you can start regenerating that liver. This is where herbs are a necessity when it comes to people being down this much, because of how much that they can balance and how much they can help. And that's why the herbal way for me was the most important, because it started helping me bring certain things up. Yes, I would go through cycles and I'd dip back down again, and I'd have to dig deeper. That, to be honest with you, that's a good reason why I think we go into healing crises, is because it takes us to another level. It allows us to start digging deeper and getting stronger with some of the things that we need to do to build things up.
Also varicose veins and stuff. Well, no question. My comment is go on a raw food diet. No question. Number one, if you can tolerate it and you've been vegan this long, then dump the salads. Dump the vegetable crap and get up on the fruit, berry, and melon level. You're going to have to, because that's going to clean and regenerate everything you got going here. At the same time, you know what we're going to do? You might want one of us to write you a protocol, because it's too much to give you a protocol over the thing here. That's so you really want to send us a picture of your eyes, or you get a picture of your eyes and write you up a protocol from that, which would include the kidneys. Look at our protocol video and what we do every time. And I'm going to do another one. Maybe we'll do a whole protocol video. I'm going to show you what you do for what. But you know that in our discussion today, and in all these videos, you're right in on the lymph system, which includes the eliminative organs of the kidneys and the skin. So you're going to be going after those things. We pretty much tell you what you're going to go after here by our discussion. We never give you something you don't need. In other words, unless we're talking lungs and tumor, we're not going to go after that. We're going after your lymph. We're going after why the pain, why the low blood sugars, low blood pressures. We're going after those things. And when you understand where those things come from, in other words, what does your adrenal glands do to you? Where's the low blood pressure coming in? Where's the low blood sugar coming in? Right? What tissues?
You don't focus on the diagnosis.
Right.
You focus on why you were diagnosed.
The glands are the tissues that perform that function for you. That's what you look for, and that's what you're going after. Good point. You're not going after the effect of that. You're going after the cause of that.
Exactly.
Well, you can give the gland or organ the bump with the herbs, but then go deeper. What's the cause of their failure? I'm a cell in your adrenal. What's the cause of my failure? I'm looking at interstitial. I'm looking at the two chemistries that are coming at me. And one's blood and one's lymph. Two different chemistries are that I'm involved in. And I have to understand that a little bit if I want to be a healer in a world where people have been living on the acid side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So I agree with Robert. This is one where I really do think, even if you got started on the 14-week protocol or just the kits, kits
exactly.
to get started, but eventually get a chance to talk with one of us so that we can help you formulate what to do, when and where and how and why.
Well, this is nice. It says, "Hey Doc, my name is Chad. In 22 years, this is more of an appreciation post more than a question. Just want to say all of the information you post is so helpful yet groundbreaking. Thanks." We try to be, because if you step back and look at that, then all these answers will help put yourselves the answers to life together for you. And now you got it, baby. And now your ride can be good. It might take you a year or so to work out of your troubles, but baby, you can work out of them. And that's the thing. And then if you learn about thinking, you just practice, stop thinking so much, and just practice being the observer, your life will even explode even more. For me, it's more of a reawakening. Exactly. You hit it right on the head, Chad. All we're doing is wakening back up. The truth has always been there, right? And relearning. Growing up, I had a lot of these experiences you talk about. My mom never would force me to eat whatever she made. Would never force me. Good mom. Good mom. She actually said that I would throw a fit most of the time, saying she was poisoning me. Exactly. So she stopped trying it, and if I didn't eat her food, it wouldn't eat. So Oh, I wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
So I would either be fasting most of the time. My mother said that people used to come up to me all the time saying I had a special energy and something was different about me. Ooh. You know, there's something beautiful and different about each and every one of you. And we love each and every one of you. And we're here to help you get your stay on this lovely planet in order so you can have a better experience. That's all it is, you know. Nothing else about it. I am also an actor, and I remember meeting people, very famous people, and they would tell me they would do things like 4 to 12 month mango or a grape fast. See, there's always been the people in the know. Also, those that can afford to go to the spas, shall we say. Yeah, well, we need everybody to learn how to take care of themselves. Nobody's above another here. And then they would end up with a 40 to 90 day water fast. There you go, man, everything. Oh, you must be overseas. Come to be, and it's kind of like a secret of the industry. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, you know. The cucumber eyes and things like that. This has been going on. Well, look at, I had a nurse work for me back in the 70s that worked for Kellogg, Harvey Kellogg, Dr. Harvey Kellogg, at the Battle Creek Sanitarium. Remember that movie they did about that? It was Matthew Broderick or whatever. He played a kid in there, but who played Dr. Harvey Kellogg? It was Anthony Hopkins. And I used to love Anthony Hopkins. But he played a good, and they did, she said they did yogurt enemas and stuff like this and stuff like that, little fasting and stuff. And so there was, Dr. Harvey Kellogg was a physician, same with his buddy Graham, Dr. Graham, who created the Graham cracker. Mm-hmm. These were people trying to get healthy treats, you know, and stuff like that. But these were all more natural thinkers, believe it or not. Even though the cereal line is horrible, they were using MSG for years. Now they're horrible stuff. Oh no, BHT and BHA. Yeah. That's what they're still using in them. BHT and BHA. And you almost don't hear about those anymore, but they still use them in cereals and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But always wonderful, boys. I was the one to excel in everything I did and didn't understand why. I eventually fell off around 15 when I started getting into sports heavy and fell into the whole protein. It's crazy, isn't it? Seeing all this information coming out now, knowing that I was getting this info and had I followed it back, but it wasn't meant to, because this is how we learn. We get our butts kicked, you know, and this is how we learn. So you did good, though. You're back home.
You can never live in what if.
Exactly. You never can. And you're back home. Yeah. You're back home, man.
Regret steals your future.
Exactly. Thank you. Good way of looking at it. I'm just glad there are people like you and all of that. Thank you, man. And this is true. You know, we're all just here to help each other. And, well, this is a big one. Yeah. What's our time?
I
Here you go.
Probably need to go pretty
Excuse me.
Dear Dr. Morse, I really honor your work. I have a few questions regarding HSV type 1. I was diagnosed with type 1, although it did come out as genital herpes. Everyone in my family has the cold sore but me. I never had it on my lips. I wonder if it could have been transmitted sexually. Maybe I already had it in me, or my partner really did cheat on me. I don't know. One thing is for sure, I want to get rid of it. I am 27 now, and I will give myself a few years before I get pregnant, that I want to eliminate it from my body. I don't want to give birth with C-section, and it can cause other problems too. Yeah. Also, it is really annoying as it has literally spread all over my body now. The spot can appear anywhere on my body now. I know it is possible to get rid of it like anything. Also, do you still offer consultations with Dr. Morse? I would also be interested in iridology. Please help me. Just tell me what I exactly have to do and for how long. Thank you. Is that a way of saying Zuzanna? Zeus. Is the Z silent? Zuzanna?
Z-S-U-Z-A-N-N-A.
It's either Zuzanna or Susanna, and the Z is
that would be a radical way. See, man's trying to find their individual expression, their individuality. So this whole concept of socialism has got to die, because it's not the positive force of
Yeah.
nature, Individuality is, and the beauty of that. Well, and we're going to tell you the same thing, any viral load, these are proteins, so any viral load, there's only one way to deal with viral load. You can't kill them, that's obvious. And so, what's amazing to me, again, here, this whole medical crap, giving antibiotics for viral problems and killing your bacteria in your lymph nodes.
Exactly.
I mean, it's amazing. Lupus and Lyme, they still treat it with bacteria. Oh, it doesn't work, and it's like it never does. I mean, just insane. But there's only one world for you, dear one. And that's our world of detoxification, because there's only one way to get rid of herpes.
Yeah.
And that's a detox. And that's true with HIV, and it's true with Hep C, and it's true with all the viral loads. I don't care what you're dealing with.
Yep.
You only have one way. But this is the universal way God deals with chemistry that's in that needs to get out. You can't attack it inside. That's ridiculous. And that's what the AMA is doing, taking pharmaceuticals and trying to attack. That creates a long line of fatal events tied to these pharmaceuticals, because you can't attack inside the body. What are you attacking? You got two chemical-based fluids that you're controlling through your lifestyle, and then you got the cell controlled through, again, the same thing, but through genetics. So, can't attack, you got to make well.
Yeah. Especially if this is spreading all over the body and things like that. I mean, detox is really, it's your only answer.
It's your only answer.
It's your only answer. High raw, and to be honest with you, I'm going to even say high all fruits on this
I
one.
would. Kidney filtration, get your kidneys filtering. And because you want to be healthy, and especially if you're a mama, because here's a suggestion here, is that you're not filtering. Well, if you're not filtering, ladies, you've got to get this. If you're not filtering, neither is your baby.
Yeah.
And if this is why we're getting tumors in babies.
Please repeat that.
Yeah, please. If you're not filtering, mama, neither is your baby inside of you. So if you've got tumors and inflammation, so will your baby. And we're seeing all these babies with tumors and stuff now, and it's not good. So you got to realize what's going on with mom, infiltration and lymph is going on with the baby. That's how you get your lymph system set up in life.
Well, there's only one thing that mutates, and that's the acids of the body. Right there. And you've got all these kids coming in now with all these different mutations and things like that.
Exactly.
You know that mama was very, very acidic. And that responded, but remember, how does a baby get its immune system built up? It's through the mother's milk and through mom. Well, if the mom has a weak immune system and it's enough to cause some mutations,
So if the mom isn't filtering and heavily acidic, so is the baby. If the mom's parathyroid is down, all right, so the baby's sucking from her bones and teeth. How many mothers have lost their teeth and bones after? Exactly. So, but the baby isn't getting full bore either. So the baby's getting mutated growth, and you just have a high acid factor on top of that, which mutates even more. So this is why you're seeing everything you're seeing. And then the DNA, RNA, chromosome, they're all getting mutated from this. So the only hope man has is to understand. You've got to go back to understanding, like it or not. You've got to go understand our species, the type of foods we are. It's one thing to eat a Barbie once in a while or some delicious piece of cake or pie once in a while. We're not talking about that. We're talking about fixing your problems and then having a good balanced diet.
Yeah.
High in fruit, maybe a salad, and then cheat once in a while. So what? Then you get to enjoy the things of whatever, of the negative, but you get to keep your health.
There's not a lot you can't fix if you get your kidneys filtering and your lymph moving.
Have you seen anything? The only thing is you do have advanced people, and some of them don't make it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of advanced people out there, so could be time for some of you to leave. And boy, I've always said this: I'll go for you. You know, you don't realize this is the ash can. The next world is far grander. Been there, done it. So I just have to say, you should never fear anything. If you fear anything, fear acidosis. yeah, good.
But the problem is, when we fear death, we don't live because we fear death.
Thank you.
And the thing is, get to the point. There's a song I just heard. Whether he does or whether he doesn't. Be okay with how it works, how it all comes out. If he heals, if he doesn't heal, if she heals, if she doesn't heal, just be okay. Look at me. I sit at a desk and talk to people about their health all day long, and yet I am still a diabetic. But that doesn't mean all the things that I haven't cleared up already. That's just the one thing that I'm still struggling with. And whether I heal myself or not, I have still found a journey that is 40, almost in August, 42 years of being a high, brittle diabetic. We're talking, my highest blood sugar was 1,379.
You can't convince those cells after you've been on that much insulin to,
And
just
now
take a
with
while.
what's coming out with the peptides and the isolated or not the isolated insulin, but the synthetic insulin, and now they're looking at all of the issues, blindness and kidney failure and things like that. Yeah, high sugars contribute to that, but they're looking at it as the synthetic insulin is potentially
damaging the body. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, just as you do have to look at those things, because again, the pharmaceuticals, and I still go back to even the steroid use. When I see steroids, pharmaceutical steroids with the word acetate tied to them, I'm going, what? Because you have two types of steroids. You have your acidic type and your alkaline. You have two types of everything in the body. So it's just why you see your estrogen and your progesterone.
Exactly.
You have your acid and your base right there together. One gets everything going, and then one comes in and cools everybody down.
Well, that's what chemistry is.
It is. It's that waxing and waning, ionization, the movement of it. And it's just how life is.
Yeah.
And I think when you sit back and you look at the simplicity of it and realize that we're interfacing with the wrong chemistry, acid-ash chemistry, and this is the problem. Change it, and your problems start to go away.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for listening to us, and we appreciate it. Sorry I haven't got so many videos. I've been insanely busy. I'm being freed up now. Class, I've just about got all your eyes done. I turned in over almost 20 eyes this morning. So been a very busy weekend for me. But we love you, and have fun with this, and keep it simple.
Yeah.
And keep your desire simple. Matter of fact, spend some time not wanting anything, just being happy in the moment, happy not thinking, and just enjoying every moment for that moment. And that'll pull you back as a child and give that smile on your face again.
Well, remember, you are spiritual first, your emotional second, and your physical third. Don't get so uptight about the physical that you neglect the spiritual and the emotional. You need all three of them to heal.
You do.
Truly
Love
do.
y'all.